My name is Silas Nichols. I'm the Principal Geotechnical Engineer with the Federal Highway Administration, and we are pleased to be able to present to you guys the geotech tools, geotechnical solutions for accelerated bridge construction projects. What if I told you that approximately half of all construction claims in highway projects are related to geotechnical issues? Well, Geotech Tools was developed to assist geotechnical engineers, bridge engineers, project managers, or other engineers involved in project development, scoping, and the execution of bridge and highway projects make more informed decisions on geotechnical issues and project delivery that reduce risk without surprise. The tool is a web-based technology catalog with detailed information on 46 geoconstruction and ground modification techniques, and it's also a technology selection system to aid in identifying potential solutions based on user-defined project conditions. The tool is currently available, it's free, and access to the website is available at www.geotech.tools.org. Note that users will be asked to register the first time they access the system. So what are the geotech tools? Well, they are a comprehensive toolbox for the engineering and construction of earthworks and geotechnical features. This collection of tools is a must-have for any subject matter expert involved in design and/or construction of transportation earthworks, ground improvement or modification, pavements, earth-retaining structures, or structural foundations. The readily accessible web-based system is stuffed with comprehensive and useful information on the 46 technologies, and when any one of the technologies is selected from the catalog, the user will find 8 design and construction tools. These are our technology fact sheet, photographs, relevant case histories, current design guidance, quality control and quality assurance guidance, specifications, current cost information, and a bibliography. These user tools are concise documents containing information for assessing potential applicability and for the engineering of geoconstruction technologies for transportation infrastructure. The information documents are also downloadable in Adobe PDF format. The geotech tools are also a must-have for engineers and managers that may be familiar with some of the technologies included, but don't work regularly in geotechnical engineering. For you all, Geotech Tools contains a user-friendly technology selection system developed to aid users in identifying potential solutions for user-defined sets of project conditions. The selection system contains a dynamic, interactive selection process that leads to a short list of technologies applicable to the user-defined project conditions and constraints. The geotech tools are designed to address key project elements that act as barriers to accelerating construction as part of project delivery. These include the construction of new approach embankments over areas that may be unstable. Often when we're crossing wetlands or crossing water, the touchdowns may be in areas that are susceptible to large deformation or global stability issues. And these are issues that can greatly impact the performance of the system. Widening of bridges presents similar issues related to accelerating the construction of bridges with respect to approaches and abutment issues. In addition, the improvement and stabilization of support beneath pavements and other structures are also included as part of the project elements. Geotech Tools has a number of solutions available to assist engineers intending to accelerate the construction of bridges that address ancillary issues that directly affect the success of delivery of these projects. These include column-supported embankments and super lightweight builds such as EPS geofoam that accelerate construction of approaches by eliminating quarantines for settlement control that may result in performance problems. There are also innovative retaining wall solutions that provide rapid solutions for abutments and wing walls and other issues associated with bridge widening or construction. The primary benefit of geotech tools is that it provides the user with additional tools for addressing common issues or risks that may be identified during project delivery and that may affect the success of an accelerated bridge construction project. These issues and risks might include schedule constraints. The need to accelerate construction may require decision-making that might include rapid embankment or pavement construction. Geotech Tools provides numerous solutions that are easily identified for these purposes. Right-of-way issues, project development in urban or constrained areas may require the use of innovative solutions for cut-or-fill walls and earth retention. Geotech Tools provides numerous solutions that are easily identified for these purposes. Contracting decisions. Innovative contracting structures may facilitate decisions by a contractor to modify ground for whatever reason. Geotech Tools can be used as part of the decision-making process or as part of review and agency oversight. Soft and unstable ground conditions. Geotech Tools provides a suite of tools for addressing design and construction issues on soft or loose ground where stability or settlement may be a primary issue. An example of this might be the need for temporary support of heavy construction equipment required in accelerated bridge construction projects. Alternate foundation solutions for bridge widenings or foundation construction or retrofitting in low headroom situations, for example. Geotech tools can be used to develop potential solutions for bridge support. And finally, abutment solutions. As I mentioned on the previous slide, Geotech tools contains a number of solutions for rapid construction of abutments using reinforced soil structures. Geotech tools is a powerful design and construction aid that will certainly provide benefit to engineers and contractors involved in accelerated bridge construction projects. We encourage you to spend some time exploring the tool and utilizing this great resource. I'm now going to turn the presentation over to Vernon Schaefer, who's going to walk you through some of the important features of the web tool and help you out in better understanding what it is geotechtools.org is. And how to get rid of that thing.
We just X out of that.
No, you can't.
Okay, good afternoon. Do they see this?
Yeah.
Oh, Adirod, how do I get rid of this? Put it down there. Good afternoon. I'm Vernon Schaefer from Iowa State University, one of the 12 principal investigators that helped develop this system. When you go to www.geotechtools.org, this is the front page that you'll see. There'll be some different pictures come across here. You have to log in, and the reason we're requesting a registration is so we can keep track during the initial development stages and now into implementation of who's using the system. And so we have just short of 2,500 registered users at the present time, of which slightly over 300 have registered as bridge or structural engineers. So if you've not registered, you come in here, put in your name, your organization type, and primary field of practice. And you can see structural, pavement, geotechnical. And we're using Google Analytics to keep track of then who's using the system and how it's being used. So let me put my registration information in here. And we'll come in, and this is the main page of the system. And we have four main features in the front: geotechnical design processes, I'll talk just briefly about, a catalog of technologies, and then these are all of the 8 products that Silas just discussed briefly with you, and we'll look at some of those products for various technologies. And then the heart of our system is our technology selection system, where you answer some information about your project-specific constraints and site conditions, and that will guide you to a list of technologies. There is a user's guide that is about 20 pages long. It's a PDF document that also contains useful information on how to use the system and provide some examples. So when you're on this page, on the left-hand side, this will always show up. You can go to the R02 project background and access these other areas. We have a glossary of hundreds of geotechnical terms in here. If something's, if you don't know what something is, readily used abbreviations. I'll come back towards the end of this looking at the frequently asked questions and submit a comment. As we've developed this system and get users engaged in it, we're looking for feedback and how we can improve this system for the users. This is your system. It's for public agencies, for their consultants. And so we want to see lots of use, comments back to us on how we can improve this. I'm just going to look briefly at geotechnical design process. And this follows a standard format that we go through in terms of identifying the project conditions. You'll need some of this information input to selection criteria, establishing performance requirements, any space or environmental constraints, an assessment of the subsurface conditions. Being geotechnical engineers, one of the first things we need to know is what kind of soil conditions do we have there. You'll do the preliminary selection and then some design, and we'll look at how we can get to that from this. I'm going to go to the catalog of technologies, and here we list all 46 technologies, and we do this again for the 4 application areas of roadway construction over unstable soils embankment widening, and then permanent pavement components, geotechnical pavement components, and then working platforms. They're temporary. I'm going to click on here and bring these up with our SHRP2 R02 ratings. And this lists, again, all 46 technologies. Now you see 4 rating categories over here. What we see here is a degree of establishment. This is how well established the technology is in the United States. If we come down, aggregate columns are a support column technology. They're relatively well established. We got biotreatment for subgrade stabilization. There's not even any projects been used in the United States, but it's a new emerging technology that we feel in the future will be available. Chemical stabilization well established. But the one of importance here for rapid renewal is this, or for accelerated bridge construction, is rapid renewal. These are the SHRP2 renewal objectives: rapid renewal, minimal disruption, long-lived facilities. So here we've got column-supported embankments. This is a relatively fast geotechnical solution. Come down, we've got many 4s. We got lightweight fills in here. There are 5. So that's how we can take a look and see how solutions will be a rapid solution. I'm going to move to technology selection, and this is really the heart of our system. And so there's a disclaimer on here just to provide some information that on how TRB, SHRP2, FHWA, and AASHTO fit into this. So you have to agree to this to get into this part of the system. And here, now what happens is over on the right-hand side, all 46 technologies show up. And so there's a list of all the 46 technologies with hot links to each of these goes to the technology page for that technology. We'll look at those in a bit. We're first going to look at view technologies by classification. And we have 11 classifications in here. So if you want geotechnical solutions for earthwork construction, you can come and look at any of these. And again, the hot links will take you to those technology pages. For soft ground drainage, we've got densification of cohesionless soils, vertical support elements, embankments over soft soils, lateral earth support. So this is what is in our system for that category. Cutoff walls, liquefaction mitigation, increased pavement performance, void filling, and sustainability. So if you know which category by classification, come in and look at all of these. The more useful part, I think, here is to access the interactive selection system. And here we now see the 4 icons that represent our 4 application areas. The construction over unstable soils, construction over stable or stabilized soils, and in either case it might be here might be an embankment, it might be a retaining wall, it might be stabilization of an unstable slope. Then the geotechnical pavement component of a permanent solution or working platform. This will take you to solutions of those. In this section, we now see that there are question marks that provide some additional help information when you click on those. Okay. Again, I'm gonna for purposes today, I'm going to go in and demonstrate using construction over unstable soils. Again, what we see here are these 46 technologies listed. This becomes our first demarcation. There are now 26 technologies listed over here instead of 46. So by clicking on construction over unstable soils, we reduce the number of candidate solutions from 46 to 26. Our goal here is to get down to a 3 to 5 number for the engineer to take a look at. We've got the first item we'll look at is we have to select what our unstable soil condition is. With saturated fine-grained soils or loose granular soils, both saturated and unsaturated, we have some kind of void or abandoned mine that we have to deal with, or problem soils. We'll take a look at the saturated fine-grained soils, and when we did that, you see that we several technologies have grayed out. They're still hot linked, but they're no longer considered to be a viable solution to dealing with saturated cohesive soils. The second sieve here, so to speak, I'll click 30 to 50 feet. We get a couple more drop out, but not a large number. So there's still about 14 or 15 solutions there that will work. And when we first developed the system, this is where we were thinking we were going. We had an advisory board that helped us with this, and a year and a half into the project, that's where we thought we were going. So you could go to selection summary right now, and this is one of two places you can do this. And I'll just use this as an example. This will bring up a sheet that then shows you what all the technologies are based on what you've selected. And it shows you these ratings, and you can come in, and if you're after the rapid solution, you come in and look at rapid renewal here. You can put in your name, organization, project, you can develop a PDF, and this is a documentation piece here to help you. You can put in the file that such and such a date you looked at this. For this particular application, the unstable soils, this is too many technologies. We wanted a way to reduce the number here, so we developed an additional piece of this where we continue on to project-specific selection. So we'll do that in just a moment. I want to point out that the solutions we get to by going through this process take us to single solutions, just one technology. Very often these technologies are used in combinations on bridge projects. We might use a combination of lightweight fill and a column-supported embankment type of thing, or we might use prefabricated vertical drains with something else. So we also developed a white paper that goes through a number of case histories where more than one of these were used in combination. And that's to provide some guidance on which ones can be used in combination. And I'll show you another area within some of the products where we can get that information. So let's go to project-specific selection. Again, we have grayed-out solutions over here, 26 still fit in, but now we need to answer some questions about project-specific characteristics. What's our purpose of improvement? Are we wanting to bypass soft ground? And if we pick on that, we're going to drop down several solutions out. The column-supported embankments in various column types are going to show up. If we switch to doing, reducing consolidation settlement, we've got a large number that will allow for water to flow through and escape from the soft soils. So a variety of these, we can increase the rate of consolidation. Not as many there. So a variety of things that you can take a look at and do that. So let's, I'll just use bypass soft ground for the moment. And you can do more than one of these at a time. You can select your project type. Is it new embankment? This might have a little bit of a bearing on some of the technologies. On site characteristics, is it large, open, and undeveloped or constrained? That might affect some of these technologies need very large pieces of equipment that simply won't work in a constrained environment. Do you have existing utilities or low overhead clearance? If we put that one in, the only one that comes back up for a solution here is going to be micropiles because they can work in low headroom, under 15 feet of headroom conditions kind of thing. And other constraints, construction schedule. So let's look at accelerated schedule, put that in. And so we've got a list of technologies there with that. And there's a couple others. There's one if you have less than 500 pounds per square foot of shear strength in your soil, some things there. Are sands present? That's with that. Here you could go and make that a PDF of your selections and results again, which would then timestamp that. Having come to a short list, now what one needs to do is to start to investigate solutions. What I want to do is I'm going to look at a couple of these. Oh, we're not connected to the network. Uh-oh. We've lost our connection.
Have we?
Adirod, can you see things?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see.
I can't see my system.
Okay.
I've got it back now. Okay. You can see the screen? Column-supported embankments here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This is a technology page, and there's 46 of these technology pages. They all have the same setup. There's a short description of the technology here under each of these. There's going to be a listing of all of the products here. You can click on these and go to those, and we'll do that in a moment. You can click on all of these and download all the PDFs. There's going to be the rating, SHRP2 rating for the system coming up here. And there's another document that tells you what the ratings mean in more detail if you're interested. They're all in a 1 to 5 rating system. On the left-hand side will be all of the information over here. And again, all the technology is over here. So let's look at a technology fact sheet. When it comes up, and all of the technology fact sheets are these 2-page documents all in the exact same format. There's going to be the listing of the technology name, the Geotech Tools website location. There's going to be either a picture or a graphic that shows what the technology is. There's going to be a description of its basic function, what its advantages are, its general description, its geologic applicability, its construction methods. And then there's going to be some complementary technologies, what it can be used in combination with. And this is where multiple technologies used together, where we can get information on that. What are technologies that are used as alternatives to this one? That's located in there. There's going to be, do we have, what SHRP2 applications do we use this technology for? What case histories has it been used on? And those are usually tied to the case histories that we have listed on our system. Its potential disadvantages, you can see we buried that at the end. And then key references for the fact sheet with that. So that's the same format for every technology. Photos, we'll bring up photos of a technology. And that can be useful just in terms of giving a visual picture to an audience. These first couple of documents are very useful for public hearings, for talking to people that might not be familiar with the technology, and explaining it to whoever you might want to get that information to. Valuable information there in terms of looking at those things. I want to switch to just one technology just so I don't do it all in one, and I'll come back to this one. Well, I'll go to design guides. I'm not going to go through the case history. There's really good information in those. Also, those are 2-page summaries, and there's usually a contact number on there to contact somebody at a DOT office. Over 80% of our case histories are Department of Transportation based in terms of those case histories. The design guidance, and so if we look at column-supported embankments, it says preferred design procedure. If there is a FHWA guidance document, we use that to have developed our design procedure. If there's a FHWA document that provides information, we have that here. So here you see there is an FHWA manual on ground improvement methods, and we give a hot link. So if you click on this link, it's going to take you to a location where you can get that document. So with no FHWA guidance on this particular one, what we did is we went through and developed a procedure here for column-supported embankments. We provide some background on that. We've got the typical inputs and outputs for design and analysis, and this is the same in all the design documents that you'd have here. And then we have a recommended design procedure, and it's going to go step by step through that. So let me take you to a technology, and this is geotechnical reinforced embankments. Again, you see the technology page here is the same, but if I go to the design guidance for this one, there is FHWA design guidance for this. And what we'll see here is, again, links to the particular guidance. And here it's more of a summary. The previous one was very detailed in terms of steps for design guidance. This one is a bit more of a summary. We have a publication with the design guidance in from 2008. You can get this from NHI, FHWA website. Provides a summary of the methods. And if we come down here to the steps. We've got step 1 and step 2. Here, the design guidance is not quite as detailed because there's a readily available FHWA document. So it's more of a summary of that document in this one. Coming back here, time's going fast, so I'm going to just summarize a bit here. The QC/QA documents are very similar to the design documents. They're summaries of available FHWA design guidance, or if it wasn't available, we actually vetted various techniques and went back to those. We have information on specifications. We have for 43 of the technologies, 42 or 43 of the technologies, we have a recommended or guide specification that we've developed calling from available DOT and FHWA types of documents that way. And we have a bibliography for each of the technologies also. I'm going to go back to column-supported embankments, and I want to pull up the cost information sheet here. I think that this is probably as valuable a piece of the work that we did as there is. What we did is we have there is a cost information summary sheet for each, not for each, for again, I think 43 or 44 of the technologies. That gives a commentary on what the, what's the scope of the cost summary, some background on the cost summary information that we have, and then what are the pay items that you need to use. And these pay items come right from the specifications, guide specifications that we developed. It shows what that pay item is, what's a typical quantity, what the measurement unit is, its low and high unit price, what factors affect that price, what are historical cost information there is for that, a sample of these, and then in 42 of the technologies we have a conceptual cost estimating tool. So I'm going to call that up, and this is going to open up an Excel spreadsheet for us. And when we take a look at this Excel spreadsheet, what you see here, we're going to have cells highlighted in orange. Okay? In terms of looking at that, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here, come across, and then you simply have to fill in the orange blanks, and here you need length by width. It tells you the square footage you're going to deal with, how much grid reinforcement you're going to need, how much working platform you're going to need. So you have to do some design to get to this point to use this. But what it does is it gets you to this cost estimate, and you put in, we filled the numbers in here, but you can put in the numbers here taking either from your own information or ranges that we've provided, and you provide a cost estimate. So for the case here, this has come up $2.6 million. In workshops, we show that we compared this with 3 others and come up with similar cost estimates with this. This just provides a good way. This is not copy protected. It can be modified for individual DOT use. So that gives you kind of a background. I only have a few more minutes to show you things before we go to the questions. So what I want to go here is to go to frequently asked questions. There's some information here. And one we always get is how are technologies selected for inclusion in the project. And it's simply that we have these 3 application areas, unstable soils, embankment widening. So the techniques were fit in there. So there's a lot of other geotechnical solutions. And for instance, there's not much pile foundations in here, but what this is a lot of alternatives to the use of deep foundations in those. So you can take a look at this. We have a submit a comment, and I want to draw your attention to this because we're actively seeking feedback on this. We're seeking additional case histories or photographs. Your name will come up here, and you can submit a comment on a specific technology, on the selection system or on the glossary or anything else. And if you've got specific questions, you can select file types. If you run into a dead link, and that happens every now and then, please email us or submit a comment here so that we can get that fixed. Again, this is your system, and we look forward to any feedback that you might have for improvements. And with that, I'll close, and I thank you for attending today, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And so, Adirad, do we turn this back over to you, Adirad?
We'll turn it over to Ben Bierman, who will be the moderator for the session. So, Ben, would you like to take over?
Absolutely, sure. Vern, great job on the presentation as well to Silas out there. We did receive a few questions prior to the webinar. We got a couple in as you were going through your presentation. We'll go through the first one, and I believe you answered it. The relationship between the tool catalog and FHWA's series of design guidelines, how are those two correlated? And I believe you did show that in your presentation.
Yeah, but I'll just reiterate it. For any of the technologies, when there is an FHWA design guidance or QCQA guidance document, whether that be a geotechnical engineering circular document, an NHI course manual, any of those types of documents available, then we used that as the base of the information. We vetted it with other things available too. We tried to make this as current as we could. For a handful of technologies, there's no FHWA guidance, and there, the research team did a considerable amount of effort in determining what would be the one or two design procedures that we would recommend. For instance, in column-supported embankments, when we started the project in 2007, there were about 15 design methodologies out there, and we are recommending 2 of those. And vetted those and did some additional research work on those modeling efforts, and actually a full-scale model test that we conducted at Virginia Tech to come up with those 2 recommended design approaches.
And Ben, this is Silas. One thing that was probably understated as part of this presentation is that Geotech Tools is meant to be a living website. So as design guidance is updated either by Federal Highways or by others, the system is designed to allow us to evaluate advances in innovations in design methods, advances in specifications, cost information, and update the site on a regular basis to maintain that sort of current tie to existing FHWA guidance.
Well, that's great because it answers 2 questions that just came up regarding that topic. Was how's the site maintained? Do we have a professional staff on board? And are they updating, like you said, the cost information as well as the technologies?
And we're currently in a pilot phase as part of implementation of the R02 tool, geotechTools.org. We hope to have a permanent location for the website. I mean, the website logo, the website URL is not going to change, but a permanent hosting location for it by the end of 2014. And at that time, we hope to also have in place what the full-time staff will look like for maintenance and updating.
But okay. we are trying to keep it current. We're through this phase, through the end of 2014. We are currently working on 3 additional technologies or technology enhancements that we will be adding in the next 3 to 6 months. So one of them is shallow mass mixing, for instance. And so in that sense, our intent is to keep this as a living, improving system. We do have one of the areas we recognize it's difficult to keep up with is the cost information, and we hope to update some of the cost information this year yet, but also as people can submit some of their cost information to us, we'd be happy to add that to our databases of the costs.
Okay. All right. Some more technical related type questions. Is there any information regarding the remediations for landslides in the toolkit?
In terms of landslides per se, there are some slope items that can be used. There's various types of soil nailing that can be used to remediate slides. In some instances, reinforced soil slopes, RSS, is one that can be used to address those. That's in the second application area. I didn't go through that, but if you follow, go through the process as I did in the unstable soils one, that will lead you to some solutions for landslides or slope instability.
Okay. There was a question regarding the service life of materials that hold back MSE walls. Is there any information on that in the toolkit?
There is. There's information on it as part of the technology itself. And so if you go into any one of the reinforced soil solutions, whether it's reinforced soil slopes or mechanically stabilized earth walls, the design guidance actually will refer you to what how the durability of materials is assessed and evaluated as part of determining service life of the structure.
Okay. What about grids to delay reflective cracking? Is there anything on that?
Am I interpreting reflective cracking through pavements?
I believe so.
Yeah. So let me, if I interpret it that way, there is several solutions that are, stabilization of the pavement sub-base and subgrade area that are related to the use of geosynthetics in that. And there will be some mention of the reduction of the reflective cracking. Off the top of my head, I simply don't remember how detailed that discussion is, but that's certainly one of the good uses of reinforcement in the pavement components, and that's reflected in the system.
Okay. Stepping away from the individual technologies, there was sort of a general broad question. Innovation typically defines standard specifications or standard specs. How does one get this accepted on a more widespread basis?
Well, I think, and Vern covered this very early in his portion of the presentation, the innovation here is the actual tool, the website that gives you access to essentially a comprehensive encyclopedia of technologies and then this guidance and selection tool. The technologies themselves, for the most part, are relatively mature. There are some in there that are somewhat new and innovative and are not as advanced from a specification standpoint as others, but those that are going to be most used by users are relatively mature ground modification technologies and have pretty standard specifications already associated with them. There are technologies that most everyone on the phone has seen or used in practice previously.
Now, you all had mentioned that there's commonly asked questions that are posted or available on the website for a particular technology. If someone did have a particular question on the use of any one of the strategies posted on the site, is there a live person or a group of people that can respond to a particular question, or how is that handled?
Today, it is not live. Today, it is a request that goes into a group of researchers who are manning the site and maintaining the site currently as part of the implementation phase of this. I think it is our hope, and I say I think because we are not in a position yet to discuss what the final configuration of hosting looks like. But in the future, we would hope that part of long-term maintenance and long-term sustainability of the site does have access to live chat help.
Okay. There was a mention, I believe, in the presentation about QC, and it seemed like it was QC on the design side of things. But is there quality control, let's say guidance, for any of the technologies for folks that are on the construction, engineering, inspection side of things? I guess for the people who are out there in the field?
Oh, and in the interest of time, I didn't go through one of those documents. And in fact, the QC/QA guidance document is for the constructability of the technology, and it lists.
Would you like to show maybe that?
Yeah, you're gonna have to give us that control, Adirond.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so
You can just click that arrow right there, and it'll slide over.
okay, so let me use chemical stabilization of subgrades and bases, because everybody is relatively familiar with that technology. If we look at that, the QC/QA for that, what you're going to see is these are the field QC/QA procedures in terms of looking at this. So this is construction quality control, and that's what the QC/QA procedures are geared towards. And you come down, this table is going to be in every one of these, and it's going to list what are the material-related or the process control QC procedures. What are the QA procedures for that? Are there performance criteria? And so this is a lead-in to the future with performance specifications that we would use proof rolling or perhaps falling weight deflectometer, use of, if there's emerging ones, and here would we use resilient modulus. And then the guidelines for this in terms of doing that. And then we come into it, and then the particular QC/QA method is detailed. And this is just one of several here. We've got a particular test method that's used here. Here's another one, soil sampling and laboratory testing. So these are the construction quality control methods that would be used. Spot or overall check, the reference there, chemical analysis, nuclear gauge method. So every one of the technology's QC/QA procedures is set up this way. So it's directly geared at construction.
Great. That's a ton of information there. You all mentioned workshops. If a particular state DOT or any agency, consultant, district, county, was interested in having a workshop, how would they go about doing that or requesting a workshop? Are those available?
They will be available very shortly. We are currently developing a series of training modules through the National Highway Institute that should be available in the next few months, actually. And you will be able to order those. You'll be able to go to the National Highway Institute or just contact one of the FHWA geotechnical team representatives to order seminars that are going to range in length from a half day to a full day hands-on training workshop on R02 and how it's applied to projects and how it's implemented into programs.
Wow. And so will this site also have that link to the NHI request?
We will probably get it onto the front page as part of one of the updates here in the future once everything's available.
Okay, great. Folks, I'm going to ask this out of the group. There was a question about the audio from a particular individual, basically that the audio was interrupted several times during the presentation. I did not see any other issues coming in during the presentation, and of course we're not hearing anything. Can I get if there was an indicator of audio issues, can you all just say yay or just yes, no nos? If I'll assume if we didn't see a yes, we had audio issues, then we'll just assume that everything was okay and it was just an issue that was limited to one person. Okay, great. I appreciate that. Now, the other thing is another question that came through was, let me get back up here. Are there any recommendations on available software to use on any of the technologies here from the R02 product? And I guess when we say software, off-the-shelf software, commercial software, things of that nature.
That's a good question, one I haven't heard before. Certainly for some of the technologies, there are references that will, within the guidance documents to software. We haven't, in terms of our research effort, we didn't go through and vet any particular software relative to these technologies. But in the guidance documents, there will be mention of software where it's available for helping to do the design.
Okay. Well, there was one additional question that kind of related to your Google Analytical tool. We can ask that because maybe other people might be interested in as well. The Google Analytical tool was mentioned to keep track of the Geotech website. Is there a cost associated with the Google tool, and what kind of information is obtained from it?
It's Google Analytics, and the reason we're using it is that it's free. There's no cost to doing Google Analytics, and what it does is we're able to track how many users are on the site on a per week basis. how long they spent on the site, how many web pages that they went to, and it will tell us what are the most popular pages within the system. Those are the kinds of things that we're collecting. We can't tell what any individual user did, but we simply can tell, the numbers of users that are going to particular web pages, the amount of time they spend on there, and we use that to gauge how much use it is. And for instance, we usually get a large increase in the usage the week after we give a presentation at a conference or give a webinar on it. So I'm hoping to next week see a great increase in usage.
By about 530.
We hope so too. There was another question that came around regarding field condition or field changes. Does the tool address any of that in some of their recommendations of what can and can't happen when they're implementing a certain geo strategy?
Well, within a given technology, there'll certainly be a discussion of which soil conditions it will be applicable in, and there will be some discussion about what will happen if you hit a layer of, say, sand and you're dealing with the clay, what effect that might have on the technology. But one of the values of the tool is, say you get out to a site and you had a design done with in mind that you were using a particular soil type, and suddenly you encounter changed conditions in the field. This tool can be used very quickly to identify, well, what other technology might we use, or within that particular technology, what might we be able to do a bit differently to address that. So in terms of during construction, we see that this tool will be valuable for that very thing of changed soil conditions.
Excellent. Well, folks, that wraps up the questions we've received to date. So we can give it a few more seconds here. If there's any other folks who have any questions, they can go ahead and post it in that chat pod.
I think, Ben, it's actually, we are right on time. It's
okay.
2 o'clock. So
okay.
Perfect timing, and great job.
Okay.
And Vernon and Silas, we really appreciate for a great presentation, lots of good information, and the copies of the presentations are going to be posted on the website. So if you missed to write down any information, you can always go to our website and look at the PDF version of the PowerPoint presentation. So I'd like to thank you, our speakers, Ben, for doing a great job in moderating the question and answer period, and we hope to have you next month. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Adirad.
Thank you.